terminology. So they had the engine out. I took it down to Clearfield. The gentleman took about a month and a half to rebuild the engine. I brought it back home, gave it to put back in, and since then it has never started, never ran.
And is that where you picked it up from?
Yes.
Okay, and what was their, I guess, diagnosis of why they couldn't get it running?
The first time they said it was a bad computer. They sent it off for rebuild. Could not rebuild the computer, bought a new computer on it. That is the third computer that has been on that truck right now.
So he put 3 computers on the truck?
Yes. The first one came in, didn't have the proper VIN number. The second one that came in still had a camshaft problem. And now we're on the third one, and we're still not being able to drive the truck. I said, hey, is there anything you can tell me about the engine that why this wouldn't start? He goes, well, we did change the front cover from an LLY to an LML because he had dropped the motor and broke the front cover.
We've looked at it initially, I noticed that it only cranks for like 3 seconds and then it stops.
Yep.
I've hooked up my scan tool. I don't have any RPM signals, so I'm going to have to look at this. I'm going to go ahead and have Matt authorize you for 1 day of diagnostic time. Diagnosis normally does not fix anything. Now, sometimes it does. We can get in as we're diagnosing it, and we can find that, a wiring harness is pinched, and, we'll fix the wire, and, it costs you $10 to fix the wire, but it might take you all day to find out or something,
Fully understand.
There's been a lot of bad hands on this thing. We'll just leave it at that. I don't want to slander any other shops until I find out what exactly is going on here. But, with the way our initial assessment of it and looking at it, there's something weird here. And this cover, switching it out, I'm wondering if we're getting a tone ring signal, if it lines up with the tone ring. I'm going to have to get into it. So I'm going to have Matt call you back, get a day and a half's worth of diagnosis from you. And then we'll go from there. But I guarantee you, we'll figure it out, or we won't charge you.
Well, I appreciate it. I have, because I did some research on my own after I realized it may be the front cover. Well, there is one in the back seat for it. I've purchased just in case.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate your time on it, Dave. I really do.
We'll be in touch soon. I'll have Matt call you here in just a few.
Okay. Thanks, sir. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Because of the information that we gathered, and I hope this is maybe the most important part of this video, the gathering of information, Inspector Clouseau, so to speak, that is the key to a lot of ways to figure out what's wrong with the vehicle. So don't just leave that up to the service writer. Sometimes the tech will think so here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this bad front cover, he's got another front cover back in there, is there a tone ring? Because I don't have a crank signal on the scan tool coming off of this crank. So we're going to pull the crank sensor out on the cover that he's got on there.
Yep.
And then we're going to borescope it, see if there's a tone ring in there. Because I've seen that. Guys that rebuild motors forget to put the tone ring on them. So but we're going to check it out.
Okay. All right. Sensor is out. Let's get out the borescope. Okay. All right. Well, looks like we do have a tone ring on there. All right. Now we're going to check for a 5-volt reference and ground to the sensor. Then we'll try a new sensor and see if we get a signal. I'm going to use some nice adapters that I have. So I'm going to use these to test, make sure we're getting this 5 volts and the ground to the pigtail. All right. Nice thing about a graphing meter is you can test and then look back for your signal, so you're not having to stare at the screen the whole time. Let's turn the key on and see what it shows. Okay, let's go look at our wiring diagram. Okay, so we have ECM 12 volts, ECM minus, crank position signal. So I was getting my ECM voltage on that pin, and then I didn't have any voltage on there. So next thing we might try is a new sensor and see what we got. You can use this, you can use WD-40, a little engine oil, just something to lubricate that O-ring. Let's hook up the scanner and see if we get an RPM signal or not. There we go. We got a signal. Let me put the bolt in and
Can you see the tone ring in there?
yes.
And is it lined up in the right spot? Because
Looks to be. I just plugged in a new sensor. Starting to get a signal. I'm going to put the bolt in, crank on it again,
oh,
see what we got.
so it didn't need 3 computers maybe.